Hello and welcome to Love Samantha Lee, the More Than Just Pretty podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Lee, and here we explore love, life, spirituality, and relationships through the lens of real beauty, the kind that begins the moment you decide to be unapologetically yourself. Join us as we dive into heartfelt discussions that challenge us, inspire us, and connect us. Are you ready to embrace your true self? Let's begin. What's up, family? It's your girl, Samantha Lee, and y'all, I am very, very excited about today's message because I'm telling y'all, it's probably not going to be one of my longer messages because I feel like I can say it without taking a long time. So yesterday, you guys, I was in church, and we are talking about faith in church because we had a miracle offering. And one of the topic of discussion was I need motion. I think that's what it's called. I think it's I need motion. And pastor started talking about the story of it. Well, in Hebrews, where I believe it's Paul recounts the story of Abel and how Abel offered, had an offering, and his offering was more accepting and pleasing in God's sight because it was the best of what he had. He gave his best. And that Cain's offering wasn't seen the same way because it wasn't his best. It didn't come from the same place because God knows our heart. And as God was speaking to me through this message, there was a part of the message that resonated with me in a way that I didn't really anticipate. It was a part of the message where Dr. Darius, shout out to you, Dr. Darius Daniels, he talks about how faith without works is dead. And y'all, we've heard this a million times. And I've been struggling. I'm not going to lie. I've been dealing with some things emotionally. I told myself this week I got to get back on track, but I'm just kind of stressed. I got a sty recently, which is super random. Sty form like going on 3 weeks ago, and y'all, I ain't never appreciated my eye the way I appreciate my eye now. Like I'm like, okay, sty, okay, God, I get it. Sty, please go away, God. Give me my eye. I want my eye back, Lord. But I have this sty. Been kind of dealing with, just training the puppy, and not so much getting used to having a puppy because I'm used to it at this point, but having a puppy, being, just different things with my daughter, just different things in my life, from my work life to personal life, just different things that I'm dealing with internally. And as I'm sitting here kind of like struggling with that, it's been hard to see, God. There's been moments in time where I'm worrying. I'm like, God, am I believing for the right things? Is this you? Is this me? And just really struggling, because sometimes, guys, when we don't see where God is going or what God is doing, it's like, okay, God, I'm not sure. I'm believing you're going to do this, but it's kind of hard to believe it because I don't see it. Like, I'm believing that your girl's going to get married again and have this family. I believe that that's coming, and I believe God has shown me that. But sometimes it's hard to see that. It's hard to see that. There's times where I struggle with believing what I'm doing with my platform and this podcast. I'm being so honest with y'all. I'm believing for this podcast, for my platform, for the growth, for the opportunities, for those doors to open, for God to move in such a way. And I know that he's going to do it. I know he's building it through me. I know he's given me a specific anointing. I know he's created me specifically for such a time as this. But then there's times where it's not moving like I thought it would. There's times where things aren't happening the way I thought they would unfold if this is where God had me. There are different aspects and avenues of my life that chapters I thought would be closed by now, and they're not. I thought they would be done years ago. They're not. I'm close. I'm closer than I was before. And I'm believing that God will do it. And I'm believing this and I'm believing that. But it's very, very, very hard to believe when you don't see. I think we give doubting Thomas a bad rap because he's like, listen, in the Bible, when Jesus came back and he appeared to some of the disciples, Thomas wasn't there. And so they're like, Thomas, we saw Jesus and we saw the holes in his hands and this, that, and the third. He's like, listen, I can't run with what y'all saying. I can't pick up what y'all putting down until I see it myself, until I put my hands in the holes in his hands and put my hands in his feet. Until I see it for myself, I won't believe you. And y'all, we gave doubting Thomas a bad rap, but all of us are like that now. There are things in my life, even when I'm speaking to people and I'm believing for certain things, and I'm like, well, I don't know, Sam. Well, I mean, what's your plan B? What's going to happen? Y'all, I years ago when I was building this, when I say years ago, 2 years of me building this platform intentionally, and I've had people say, I don't know. Now they see it. They know now. Oh, I believe you, Sam. Well, you didn't believe me to begin with. You believe me now that you done seen the fruit of what God is doing in my life, and it doesn't make sense that he's doing it through me. But he is, because he's good. And he's a redeemer. I'm so grateful that he has a plan. And so, y'all, I'm speaking this and I'm talking about this because I feel that a lot of us struggle with an aspect of works. Because I struggle with this aspect. I didn't know it till yesterday. God said to me, because this is the area I've been struggling with the most, that works is not only an action that comes from belief. So we say faith without works is dead. That means I believe God is going to do it. I take a leap of faith and I do it. Okay, that's an action. That's a real action verb that we're doing. Like, okay, God told me to leave the job, I leave the job. Okay, that's the action. That's the faith and a work that comes from the belief, right? Sometimes the work, this is where God had me. Y'all follow me. The work is not necessarily an action. There's a step before the action that is considered a work. And the work is the belief. Because here's the thing, family, what God told me was like, you taking these big leaps, and y'all, I've taken some big leaps. But the work that I struggle with is worrying. Worrying if I heard God correctly. Worrying if God is really in this. Really worrying if this is truly God. Did God really say that? Did God really tell me this? Is this really where God has me? Is God gonna show up? Is God okay with this? Is God, is God here? Does God hear me? Is he hearing my prayers? Does he know what's going on? Y'all, I even had somebody call me a couple months ago. I guess a couple months ago. Yeah, see my faith online and some of the things I talked about God, and they questioned my belief. They questioned, like, you believe God? Like, why? How do you believe in this God? Like, that's crazy. You seem like such an intelligent woman. Why do you believe in God? And y'all, I remember getting off that phone like, I'm never speaking to this person again. Number one, because, the Bible also says, do not throw your pearls before swine. We're not going to get into arguments that don't make sense. If you don't want to believe, you don't believe. But faith, as we're discussing now, is beyond, I can't explain my faith. Faith is without evidence. It's something I choose to believe based upon my experiences, based upon my unctions, based upon my convictions. I can't complain. I can't convince you of that. You've got to have some type of opening to what I'm saying and a receiving posture. And if you choose not to believe, that's on you, but I choose to believe. The enemy allowed that conversation to happen for a reason. I realize it now, that as things are unfolding in my life, it got me to start questioning if I'm believing in the right things. Is the God that I'm believing in real? I'm being honest. I'm being so honest. Sometimes, guys, we don't understand why things occur, why people come into our lives, and why they ask us certain questions. And it's sometimes to plant a seed. And maybe that seed doesn't manifest in that moment, but that seed, whether good, bad, indifferent, whatever that case may be, that seed is for a reason. There's a reason why that's happening. And I see now that that seed was planted so that as things are not going the way that I thought that they would, and as I'm like, okay, God, I'm taking these leaps of faith and I'm believing in certain things and I'm not settling for certain things and I'm saying no to a lot of things. And I'm like, okay, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. And I see what's going on in my world does not coincide or correlate with the things that you say are supposed to be happening for me, the things I'm believing for. I'm not seeing it, God. And it gets very, very easy once a seed was planted for me to question my faith. And so as I'm sitting in Sunday's church and I'm listening to the pastor deliver his message beautifully, God's like, deep down inside, just that little voice. Your work is faith. Your work is belief. Believing is your work. That even when you don't see it, you believe. That even when it takes longer than you thought it would, you believe. That even when it doesn't look like the way you thought it would look, you believe. That you choose to believe in spite of what it looks like in the physical. That God said, the reason why your faith seems to be dead is because as soon as you take the leap of faith, you're doubting me. As soon as you take the leap of faith, you're wondering, okay, God, I took the leap of faith. I need to see the instant gratification that we struggle with in our society because we have social media. We over here, as soon as we do something, we're already questioning, okay, God, I did this. Where are you? Okay, God, I left the job. Where are you? Okay, God, I left the relationship that you said was toxic. Where are you? Okay, God, I did this. Where are you? And God is like, listen, you took the leap of faith and I'm going to honor that. But a part of this entire thing that I'm trying to teach you is that through trials and tribulations, through the things that I'm not allowing to happen as soon or as fast as you want, I'm developing something in you. In James, it says, through trials and tribulations, there's a patient endurance that is created and that perfects us. It perfects us. That us learning to wait on God and trust God's timing and understanding that believing without being able to see him and what he's doing, that deep voice, that small voice in the pit of your stomach that's telling you, oh, this is where you're supposed to go. This is what's going to look like. You are going to get married. You are going to have the relationship. It is going to happen this way. It's like believing that little pit of your stomach, not settling in the wilderness when God has a promised land for you. But because it doesn't look like it on the outside, you settle. Because that's what we have control over. We have control over settling. We have control of where we eventually decide to land. And we can choose to wait on God. We have that control. Or we can choose to settle in the wilderness. We have that control as well. And so God was dealing with me in that service because he's like, you've been struggling with believing me. And that's the work I'm calling you to. You've been doubting me. You've been doubting what I'm telling you. You've been doubting what the different things that I'm doing in your life. If I'm really there, if I'm really real, I know it. I see what you're actually thinking. I know what's going on in your heart and in your mind. And I'm calling you to this work, which is belief. Because faith without that work is dead. So when I have my dad, I love my dad. I hope if he's listening, I love you, Dad. My dad is a person who I don't like, he worries a lot. My dad worries a lot. He's always, oh, be careful this. And he's a dad, of course, and I'm his daughter. So he's always concerned about my well-being and making sure that I'm safe. That's very normal dad stuff, right? Or some of y'all have worrying moms that are like, be careful and don't do this and this, that, and the third. They're always so concerned, hypervigilant, and warning you about every potential backlash and downfall or sickness or something negative that could happen with every step that you take. Right? We all have that parent. We all have that grandparent. We do. We all do. And so with that being said, a lot of us, we've been taught to worry. We've been taught to be anxious. We've been taught to doubt. We've been taught to be cautious. Those are things that we have been taught in the natural. So now when we get into the spiritual realm, we're now being called to do something different. And that's very uncomfortable because we're believing in something that a lot of us can't see. And that's part of the process of faith. Part of the process of faith is to believe in something you cannot see, something that you cannot prove, something that you do not have evidence of. And so before we get into, I have faith for this, I have faith for that, that position has to be unwavering. And y'all, that's easier said than done. Believing that if God told me to do this, it's going to be okay. It may not be as specific, and like I've gotten out of like God's going to do it this month. God's going to do it tomorrow. I'm like, God is going to do it. I've learned that over time, when we think it's best or when we believe it's the right timing, that's when we fall short because God's timing is greater. I'm telling you all that from my own experiences. There are things that I wished or prayed happened in that moment, and I thank God now that it didn't. I thank God that he was sovereign in the choices that he made in timing. So now I just say, God, I know you're going to do it. And sometimes, y'all, that is hard for me because I don't see it. I'm telling y'all, I don't know who else is on here with me. I'm believing in things I don't see. I'm believing in ends I don't see. I'm believing in beings I don't see. I'm believing, I'm trusting, I'm walking. I don't see the path, but I keep taking one step in front of the other. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to do the best that I can with what I have. I'm trying, I'm going. I'm trying, I'm going. And yesterday was a conviction. God convicted me. He convicted me because he's like, yes, you're taking these leaps, but with every step you take, okay, are you sure, God? Are you sure? Is that you? I don't know. Are you sure? And there's a propensity within me that wants to take control. There's a propensity within me that wants to do something. Y'all know what I mean? Like when you're going through, let's say God told you to leave the job and he's telling you to get this other type of job, but you don't see the job. You don't see the job that he's asking, the job that God is calling you to, you don't see it. So you decide to take a part-time job that isn't what God called you to. Is you like, okay, God, I don't see you. You're not moving fast enough. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do my own version of believing. I'm going to do my own version of obedience by taking, you told me to leave that relationship, but now I'm going to go into this next relationship with this guy that's kind of like God, but not really God. Like I know God didn't actually bring this person into my life, but I'm going to make this God because now I'm dealing with you guys. So I'm going to make something that wasn't you because he's going to go to church with me and he kind of prays with me. And then, but God didn't bring that man into your into your life. That's what happens with us. We start to make things God that ain't God because we aren't willing to wait on God. Because the cost it requires, the tax we pay for waiting. Because it seems like time just keeps passing by and you don't see it and you don't see it and you don't see it. And so sometimes, guys, the work isn't this giant leap. Sometimes guys, the belief or the work that God is calling you to have isn't some major crazy. The first step is an unwavering belief that even when you don't see it, you stand on God's promises. You stand on what God told you. And again, guys, I don't get caught up in the specifics. I've learned that God's timing is perfect. I know that God's plan is perfect. I know that people don't go according to God's plan all the time, that people can opt in and out of God's will. So even if it was somebody that was supposed to be in your life, if they decide to opt out of the will of God, they've opt out of his plan, and then God has to take you in a different direction, because guess what? God's will is going to be done, whether you want to do it or the next person wants to do it. God's will be done. So some of us, I was watching this young lady, and this is where I'm going with that. She was on YouTube, and she was talking about a kingdom spouse, and she was talking about how there was a guy that she feels like is her kingdom spouse, and God brought her into her life, and there's been just confirmations and blah, 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 blah. And, and I'm watching her, and it's been years and years and years, and she's believing. She's believing and believing and believing. And a part of me was like, okay, how has God confirmed it if this person is not, if it's chaotic? Like, I believe that God is not a God of chaos. God is a God of clarity. So if something is brought into your life and it's from God, it's going to give you peace. It's going to come with clarity, not confusion. And so if a man comes into your life and he's in and out and dipping in and out, now he might not be ready, and that's fine. But if he's not being clear about his confusion, or he's not clear about not being ready, if he's not clear in those instances, then it's like, I got to question whether or not this is God or this is you. Or this is you making something that you desire into God. Because I feel like if it is God, it's going to fall in line with some of the things that God said. It's going to align with his word. The problem a lot of times is that we get upset with God when we create a plan that we think is godly, and it doesn't work out because it wasn't God. Yeah, it was good. It wasn't God. Or it was God. It had, sprinkles of godliness in there, but it wasn't God. And so now we mad at God, and the enemy allows us to do this because it just creates this distrust. Like, okay, God, I was hoping for this, and it didn't happen the last time. I was hoping for this job. It didn't happen last time. So now I have this fear of disappointment, because if I trust you and I get disappointed again, it's really going to hurt. I've been there, family. I was so afraid of hoping because I was afraid of being disappointed. But then God had to check me on that. He's like, he told me, and this is just a conversation we had, it's never going to look like the way you thought it would. Never. It's never going to look the way you thought it was. It's never going to happen as fast as you want it. It's going to happen the way I want it. It's going to look like the way I want it, because I'm in control. Now, if you want to be in control, you think you're a better boss, you think you know more than me, by all means, have your way. But you've seen how this has played out in the past. You've seen the decisions that you've made and where it's led you to. So I would just say, if you want to try something different, why don't you try me for once? Why don't you try me? What's the harm in trusting me? If I'm being honest, the harm in my mind is like, is it ever going to happen? The harm is I'm not in control of when and how this occurs. Surrendering that control is very scary, because some part of me really does believe that I'm the best boss of my life. Some part of me really believes that the way that I want things to happen is the best way for them to happen. And it's taken me a long time to learn that I'm not the best boss. And I still fight my heart and my head, fight all the time. There's things my heart wants, and they want it right now. And I create instances, I overthink things. I spin. And then there's times when my mind has to get back in control and say, no, ma'am. Remember what we said. Remember what we done. Remember the conversation you had with God. Remember. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. Let me get back in order. Because our heart is deceitful above all things, is sick and desperately wicked. Who can understand it? Our heart wants to take control. Our heart wants to draw conclusions and overthink and gets into fear and gets into the what if. Like that's what happens when we allow our heart to drive the car. That's why I don't think emotions are a great driver, and that's where I fight and I battle with myself a lot, because my emotions will take me on a roller coaster. I had a situation on Friday where I saw something and I created an entire conclusion. I mean, a whole dialogue of conclusions, and it left me feeling, played, this, that, and third, whatever the case may be, manipulated, all this stuff. I talked to a friend the next day, and I'm like, okay, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. That's me. It's me again, your girl who's a little, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, coming up with 7 seasons of Days of Our Lives. And, I just took one little instance and I'd have created 7 different seasons. And now I'm at a conclusion that isn't quite fair. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that's because I let my heart drive the car. So, y'all, I entitled this episode Epiphany. And that's intentional because God gave me an epiphany. He revealed to me something that I needed to know about myself. That as much as I'm taking leaps, sometimes the biggest work is actually believing, an unwavering core belief in the promises of God. Not the promises we make God, the promises of God. His word does not come back to him void. When he says no weapon prospers, no weapon formed prospers, you trust that no weapon that is formed, although they form and although they look scary, they won't prosper. When he says exceedingly abundantly of all that we could ever ask, think, or imagine according to the power of those work within us, we believe that. We don't think that our past is superior to our future or to our present. We believe that, okay, if we still have breath in our body, God is going to do a new thing. Sometimes the faith is dead because the work that we have not yet fully committed to or surrendered to really is committed to. The word is committed to. It's surrender and then commit. The word that we have not committed to, the work that we have not committed to, is truly believing what we say we believe. An unwavering belief in God that he is going to do just what he said he would do. Thank you for spending your time with us on Love Samantha Lee, the More Than Just Pretty podcast. It's been an honor and a privilege to share this space with you, where we celebrate being unapologetically ourselves. I hope today's episode has encouraged you to embrace your own unique beauty and the beauty in others. Don't forget to follow us and join our community on social media. Share your journey and your insights, and let's continue this conversation. Until next time, remember, real beauty starts with you being true to yourself. I love you, family, and I'm going to talk to you soon.